Hi students, welcome back to my channel, and for today we will be discussing the human reproductive system. This is the first lesson for quarter 3 of grade 10 science. Particularly, what we want to do is to explain the role of hormones involved in the male and female reproductive systems. So therefore, we will not be only dealing with the human reproductive system but also its relationship to another system which we call the endocrine system. Now, what is the reproductive system? The reproductive system is also called the genital system. It is the biological system made up of all anatomical organs involved in sexual reproduction. Of course, there are two types of reproductive system. For the humans, we have the male and the female reproductive system. On the left side of the screen, you can see the side view of the male reproductive system, and on the right part or on the right side, you can see the front view of the female reproductive system. Now, how do we differentiate the two systems? The male reproductive system is in charge of producing male gametes, which we call sperm cells. Its goal is to transfer these male gametes or sperm cells onto the female. While on the other hand, the female reproductive system produces female gametes, which we call egg cells or ovum if it's singular or ova if it is plural. It receives the male gametes, which is produced by obviously the male reproductive system, and finally, it carries the baby throughout its development. There is only a need to carry the baby if the female egg cell is fertilized by the male sperm cell. Let's start with the male reproductive system. On your screen, you can see the different parts of the male reproductive system. So first, this tube colored in blue is called the vas deferens. This passage highlighted in yellow is called the urethra or urethra. And then this encircled part is called the penis. We also have the glans and the prepuce or the foreskin. So this foreskin or prepuce is the skin that is removed whenever a male is undergoing circumcision. We also have the seminal vesicle. Then this part highlighted in violet is called the ejaculatory duct. This part, colored orange, is called the prostate gland. The small gland colored green is called the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland. And then this one, it is called the epididymis. The testis, if it's singular, it is called testis. If it is plural, we call it testes. And the skin that protects the testis is called the scrotum. The scrotum regulates the temperature of the testes. We will have more of that in the next slide. And here it is said that sperms have optimal temperature, and that temperature would be at 35 degrees Celsius. Let's go now to the different functions. First, let's have the external structures. When we say external structures, these are the parts of the male reproductive system that you can see in the outer. So first, we have the penis. You already know this. This part deposits the sperm into the vagina during mating. The scrotum Okay, it hangs behind the penis and contains the testicles. Just like what was discussed a while ago, it acts as a climate control system for the testes. So without the scrotum, the sperms may die. The testis or the testes is responsible for making testosterone and producing sperm cells. Since this part of the male reproductive system produces the hormone testosterone, it is also a part of the other system which I have mentioned a while ago, and that is the endocrine system. It is in charge of producing sperm cells. We also have the epididymis, which is a long tube that rests on the back part of the testes, and its function is to carry, store, and bring the sperm to maturity. Next, let's go to the internal structures. We have the vas deferens. The vas deferens is a tube that transports mature sperm to the urethra in preparation for ejaculation. So whenever a family or a couple doesn't want to have a baby anymore, maybe because of family planning, we have a process called vasectomy. Remember, vas deferens, vasectomy. Ang ginagawa dito, tinatalian or pinuputol si vas deferens. In that way, even though there would be sperms produced, these sperms will not go or will not be released because the tube is already cut. Next, we have the ejaculatory duct. What is its function? It is formed by the fusion of the vas deferens and the seminal vesicles. Urethra. The urethra is the passageway of urine. Dito lumalabas yung ihi. In the case of males, the passageway of the semen or the semen and the urine is the same. Alright? Next would be the seminal vesicle. This is the first of the three important small glands found inside the male reproductive system. So ano ba yung tatlo na yon? We have the seminal vesicle, we have the prostate gland, and we have the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland. The function of the seminal vesicle is to produce fructose. Okay, the fluid is rich with fructose, which nourishes the sperms. It gives the sperms energy. Kasi the sperms must be able to move. It must be able to swim its way once it is ejected into the vagina of a female. So, kailangan nilang gumalaw. So, this fructose serves as the energy of the sperms. Next, you have the prostate gland. Maybe you have heard of the term prostate cancer, which is one of the most common types of cancer in males. Prostate gland, it is a walnut-like structure which gives additional fluid to the sperms. It helps nourish the sperm. Okay, tandaan po natin itong mga sperm na to, without the fluid, they cannot swim. They will die because all of the nourishment comes from the fluid. And then the Cowper's gland, which we have said a while ago, it is also called the bulbourethral gland. Its function is to produce a fluid that serves as lubrication, the urethra. Why do we need lubrication? This is to neutralize any acidity. Sabi ko nga kanina, diba, the passageway of urine and sperm is the same in the case of males. So, since parehas yung daanan ng ihi at saka ng sperm or ng semen, ibig sabihin, it is acidic. The urethra would be acidic. So, therefore, the Cowper's gland secretes an important fluid that neutralizes the acidity. Kasi what will happen if this acidity is not neutralized? The sperm cells will die. Okay, so this picture is provided in your module. This serves as a summary of all the parts that we have discussed or I have shown you a while ago. Next, let's go to the female reproductive anatomy. Here, I will be showing you jumbled letters. I want you to guess what is the name of the part that is being shown to you. Well, first, these two parts refer to what? Okay, that is the ovary. Next, how about the parts highlighted in yellow? We call that the fimbriae. Next, this one, two long tubes, we call that fallopian tube. Very good. And then, how about the part highlighted in red? We call this the endometrium. How about this one? That is the uterus. Very good. This one, the part that is highlighted in green, it is called the cervix. And finally, the part highlighted in blue, you know this very well. We call that the vagina. Now, these are the important parts of the female reproductive system. We also have external parts which are discussed in your module. I will not be discussing those parts further in this video lesson. Let's go now to the different functions of these parts. First, let's start with the ovary. The ovary is the site of oogenesis. So what do we mean by oogenesis? In males, we have another term that is spermatogenesis. Pag sinabi nating spermatogenesis, it is the production of sperm cells. When we say oogenesis, which is what is happening in the ovary, it is the production of egg cells or the ovum. It also produces hormones estrogen and progesterone. So the ovary is the counterpart of the testes in the female reproductive system. Sabi ko kanina, if you are listening carefully, the testes, being also a part of the reproductive system, is also a member of the endocrine system. Parehas sila ni ovary. Since the ovary produces the hormones estrogen and progesterone, the ovary is also part of the endocrine system. Next part, the fimbriae. The fimbriae is in charge of picking up the ovum or the egg cell from the ovary. It catches the egg. So after the egg is caught, of course, it passes through the fallopian tube, which is the passage from the ovary to uterus. The other name for fallopian tube is the oviduct, and it is the site of fertilization. Ibig sabihin, sa fallopian tube nagtatagpo si egg cell at si sperm cell. Next, endometrium. What is the function of the endometrium? The endometrium nourishes the embryo, and this is the part of the female reproductive system that sheds during menstruation. It is like the uterine or the uterus lining. Now, what is the uterus? The uterus is the site of egg implantation. A while ago, we have mentioned that fallopian tube is the site of egg fertilization. Fertilization is different from implantation. When we say fertilization, the egg cell unites with the sperm cell. Now, once they unite, a zygote is formed. So this zygote would come down from the fallopian tube going to the endometrium or in the uterus, and it will implant itself there. That's why this is called site of egg implantation. Next, the cervix. The cervix is the muscular opening of the uterus. Since it is made up of a muscle, it can expand or contract. Pwede siyang lumaki or pwede siyang lumiit. And then, finally, the vagina. The vagina is the entrance of the penis. It is also called the birth canal. Now, before we move on with the other important concepts, I want to show you a three-dimensional image of the male and the female reproductive systems. So here I am showing you the male reproductive system. Okay. So it basically shows us the same parts that we have discussed a while ago. And then for the female reproductive system, okay, so as you can notice, these two types of reproductive system are made up of muscles. So here I have labeled the different parts of the female reproductive system, also put some color on it. Okay, however, this is basically the same as the ones that we have discussed a while ago. I just want to show you how it looks in 3D. Now, what are some of the important things that we need to remember or we need to know for the female and male reproductive system? So, for the female reproductive system, it is important to emphasize the females have 2 ovaries and each ovary alternate each month to produce an egg or ovum. Isa lang ang nare-release kada buwan. Unlike for the males, in every ejaculation, they can release millions of sperms. For the female, only 1 egg cell is produced per month. However, it is said that the ovaries contain 400,000 egg cells. However, only around 400 actually mature. And these only mature at the start of puberty, which is around 12 years old, up to 50 years old. After that, we call that the menopausal period. Hindi na nakakapag-produce ng egg cell si female. That's why, hindi na rin nagkakaroon ng anak sa mga ganyang mga edad. However, may mga cases pa rin na magkakaroon pa rin kasi it depends on when they started to have menstruation or when is their onset of puberty. So, this range of age will vary from person to person. Also, the egg cell is very large compared to a sperm cell. So, pathway of the egg. So, again, the egg comes from the ovary, is caught by the fimbriae, and then stays for some time in the fallopian tube waiting for the sperm cell. Now, if it meets a sperm cell, it is fertilized and it goes down to the uterus. Kapag hindi siya nakatagpo ng sperm cell, bababa pa rin siya sa uterus. But then, the effect or the outcome would be different. If the egg cell is fertilized, there would be a baby. Now, if the egg cell is not fertilized, it will go back or it will come down as menstruation. Now, for the pathway of the sperm, once the male deposits the sperm into the vagina, what happens is that these sperm cells swim towards the cervix and then will go to the uterus and then the fallopian tube. Okay? Nagaantay sila na merong egg cell doon. So, afterwards, syempre, depende na kung ano yung mangyayari if it meets an egg cell there or not. Now, let's move on to the important hormones. since we have mentioned a while ago that we want to identify what are the hormones, what is the role of hormones in the development of the male and female reproductive system. So, what are hormones in the first place? Hormones are chemical messengers of the body. They are important to maintain homeostasis. So, ano ba yung sinatawag natin ng homeostasis? When we say homeostasis, we mean balance. Halimbawa, there is something in our body that goes up, kailangan mapababa siya. Pag siya naman ay sobrang baba, kailangan tumaas siya ng onte. So, these hormones act as chemical messengers for us, for our body to have this balance or equilibrium. And what produces these hormones? These hormones are produced by different glands which are part of what we call the endocrine system. So, kanina nabanggit na natin yung term na yan. So, I hope meron kayong idea kung ano ang endocrine system at kung ano yung mga parts na meron siya. What are some examples of hormones? So, we have the estrogen, progesterone, we have the testosterone. So, makikita nyo rito sa picture sa kanan, yung iba't ibang parts ng endocrine system which can be found in both male and females. So, we have parts of the endocrine system found all over our body. Meron sa utak, meron sa leeg, meron sa bandang dibdib, meron sa bandang tiyan, at syempre, yung kakadiscuss lang natin, yung nasa reproductive system. Okay, now what is this? This is a picture of the pituitary gland. Now, what is the pituitary gland? The pituitary gland was called the master gland. Okay? So, again, ano po ba yung gland? The gland is an organ. However, it is called gland kasi it is part of the endocrine system. So, again, the pituitary gland is the master gland. So, it directs everything or every part of the endocrine system. It is connected to every part of the endocrine system. So, kumbaga, kung sa nervous system, meron tayong brain. Kung sa circulatory system, meron tayong heart. Kung sa respiratory system, meron tayong lungs. Sa endocrine system, we have the pituitary gland. Now, how small is the pituitary gland? I want to show you how small it is. However, I will be showing the male endocrine system. O, ayan. So, here you can see the different parts of the endocrine system. Makikita natin dyan sa baba, ang naka-highlight lang ay yung testes. Diba? Sabi nga natin kanina, ang part ng reproductive system na kasama rin sa endocrine system for the males would be the testes. So, going back, punta tayo kay pituitary. So, there are two parts of the nervous system that are also part of the endocrine system. We have the pituitary gland and we also have the pineal body or the pineal gland. Now, focus tayo dito sa pituitary. Okay, diba? Napakaliit lang niya. So, yan lang siya. But, it is called the master gland because it is like the boss of the endocrine system. Going back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So, dito makikita natin na merong mga iba-ibang mga letters, tas may mga arrows. So, around the pituitary gland, so on the center, you can see the pituitary gland. You can also see the different glands that are parts of the endocrine system. So, makikita natin that the pituitary gland sends something to these glands in order for them to produce something. Okay? These something are called hormones. They are the messengers. And these hormones, for every hormone, meron siyang epekto sa katawan natin. Makikita natin dyan, there is uterine contraction, you have lactation, you have water reabsorption, and then yung thyroid, may kinalaman yan sa ating metabolism. So, hindi natin iisa-isahin ngayon kasi napakarami niyan. Also, you can see different terms there. You have TSH, ACTH, FSH, LH, oxytocin. Okay, all of these are hormones, even the testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Okay, so all of these are chemical messengers. However, our focus would be this one, the FSH, the LH, and the hormones that are produced by the testes and the ovaries, since we are trying to relate the two systems. So, ano bang ibig sabihin ng mga letters na yan, yung FSH na yan, tsaka LH na yan, at ano ba yung mga ginagawa ng mga yan? So, sa male muna tayo. So, for the males, we have the FSH and the LH. These two hormones, remember, are produced by the pituitary gland. So, they are produced by the pituitary gland and are sent to the testes or the testes as messengers. For each type of hormone, may ibig sabihin yan. Ano ibig sabihin yan? The FSH or the follicle stimulating hormone signals sperm production, whereas the luteinizing hormone would stimulate the production of the hormone testosterone. So, ibig sabihin, pag si pituitary gland, gusto niyang sabihan si testes na mag-produce ka ng sperm, si FSH ang ipapadala niya. Pag naman gusto naman niya na mag-produce ng testosterone si testes, si LH ang ipapadala niya. So, ano naman si testosterone? Si testosterone ay isa ring hormone which is produced by the male reproductive system. So, ano ginagawa ni testosterone? It is the most important male hormone because it has a lot of functions. First, for regulating sex differentiation, male sex characteristics, spermatogenesis, and fertility. Ibig sabihin, if you remember, when you started your age of puberty, yung katawan ninyo, iba doon sa katawan nyo nung kayo ay bata pa. Diba, nagkaroon kayo ng pag-grow ng hair sa katawan ninyo, tapos lumaki yung inyong Adam's apple, nag-iba rin yung boses ninyo, tapos nagkaroon kayo ng mga bigote, tapos parang naging well-defined yung katawan ninyo. Those are brought about by the hormone testosterone. All the male characteristics are brought about by testosterone. Ibig sabihin, si testosterone, kung hindi normal ang kanyang production, possible na maapektuhan yung mga male characteristics na meron kayo. And remember that testosterone is produced by the testes. But if we go back to the slide a while ago, sabi natin, kailangan meron munang utos galing kay pituitary gland na mag-produce ng testosterone. Si testes. So, una, si pituitary gland mag-send ng LH kay testes para si testes magpo-produce ng testosterone. So, yun yung parang process natin. Sa babae naman, ganun din, may FSH at saka LH din. Pero iba yung function ni FSH and LH sa babae. So, the follicle-stimulating hormone would signal the development of egg cells, whereas the luteinizing hormone would stimulate the production of estradiol. Estradiol is also estrogen. It's an example of an estrogen. And progesterone. So, diba, very similar lang yung function ni FSH and LH sa male at saka sa female. So, FSH would signal the development of sperm cell for male and egg cell for female. Tapos yung LH naman, it would signal the production of testosterone sa male, tapos estradiol or estrogen, and progesterone sa female. Gaya din nung nangyari kanina, meron ding mga hormone na pinoproduce si ovary. Pero ito, dalawa siya. We have estrogen and progesterone. So, anong function ni estrogen? So, estrogen is responsible for the female sex characteristics. Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, nagkakaroon ng drastic changes sa katawan ng isang tao na nagbibinata at nagdadalaga. Sa babae, ganun din, di ba? Nung nagdadalaga na yung babae, nagkakaroon na ng paglaki ng dibdib, nagkakaroon na ng development of reproductive organs, tapos nagkakaroon na rin ng balakang yung babae. So, and so on and so forth. The estrogen is also produced by the ovaries prior to ovulation. Ibig sabihin, bago maglabas ng egg cell, naglalabas si ovary ng estrogen. However, syempre, sabi nga natin, hindi naman maglalabas ng estrogen kung walang direction coming from the pituitary gland. On the other hand, anong ginagawa ni progesterone? Okay, si progesterone naman, may kinalaman naman siya for potential pregnancy. It prepares the body. Okay? Ngayon, kung halimbawa na-fertilize si egg cell ni sperm cell, pinipigilan ni progesterone na magkaroon ng paggalaw or contraction sa uterus para hindi malaglag yung egg. Okay? This is secreted by the ovaries after ovulation. However, if the egg is not fertilized, bababa naman yung level ng progesterone kaya nagkakaroon ng menstruation. So, yung menstruation, that would be our topic next week. So, stay put muna tayo dun sa mga levels ng hormones na may kinalaman sa menstruation. Okay? So, I think that's all for today. I hope you have learned something in this supplemental video lesson. Although medyo mahaba siya kasi medyo maraming gustong i-discuss ni module. So, if you like my video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please click subscribe. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching and happy learning. Bye!